Hi guys. So as Dr. Lee said, I'm just going to be reviewing today on this video um, about the game plan for class for November 12th and 14th. So where do we find resources? Good question. So I have the Sakai Child Health and Disparities Fall 2018 course page up. And if I go under the resources tab, you'll see that there is a folder here for final project resources. In the final project resources folder, you're going to find a couple of things. The first of which are what are labeled as group work day 1 and group work day 2. These are the assignments for the 2 days of group work, which I'll go over in more detail. You'll also see that there are website links to the Community Health Rankings website. That's Robert Wood Johnson Foundation's website, as well as New Jersey Department of Health website and the U.S. Census data website. These websites give you like a little bit of information, more information about the communities that you're identifying with and you might want to work with. So let's go through it. So today, Monday, November 12th, you will begin to work on your final project. The first project is really meant to determine a topic and begin to roughly sketch out a game plan for what you would like to pursue. According to the course syllabus, final projects are, so when it says greater detail can be found on page 4 and 5 of the course syllabus, that's a typo on syllabus, I will fix that. If you open up the health disparities syllabus, you'll see that on pages 4 and 5, there's more information about group project stuff, right? So you guys all identified a topic that has been guiding your journal clubs, whether that's from terrorism and its impact on children to suicidal ideation and media to body image to trauma to a myriad of things. And so this is really just building off of what you guys have done so far. In Journal Club 1, you thought about the ways in which the articles that you were reading engage with the inter and intrapersonal level, so within the child and within those who surround them. And then for Journal Club 2, you thought more about the community level, the policy level, and the ways in which these things impact children. So if we think about like the presentation on vaccines from class today, which is a really good example, they thought about like how space determines whether or not vaccines are gotten, how schools can influence, and then how no studies really ask kids their opinions on vaccines. So that's identifying a gap in literature. And then if you look, it says final creative presentation / activity. So this is the good bulk of your grade. It's about 20 points overall. And so these presentations are about 15 to 20 minutes long, but they're based off of a project that you all identify based on the literature that you've read around your topic. And so, you know, this could be from giving surveys to people to understand like what a real problem looks like in your community and tailoring a hypothetical intervention. This could be writing a newsletter. This could be creating a digital photo exhibit of like how you see this playing out. Just different types of mechanisms that'll be helpful in improving, that you can identify in improving community health, health literacy, raising awareness or concern about a health disparity. So take a look through the syllabus. It's a little bit more detailed about, you know, all of the aspects of the final project. This is really, the next 2 days are really for you guys to identify a final project, to identify something that is pretty actionable and reasonable to do, and to start assigning out some responsibilities among you and your group members. So if we click on group work day 1, you can see that we've created this worksheet, and it is talking about creating SMART goals for your final presentation. Some of you might be familiar with SMART goals, some of you might not, but SMART goals really help to define down the type of project that you're going to try to design and make sure that it's realistic, that it's attainable, and that it's measurable and doable in the amount of time that you all are doing. So if your project would be to, do an intervention in school cafeterias to create salad bars, that's not something that's doable in the next 3 weeks, right? Like, it's a really beautiful idea and a really, strong intervention, but it's not necessarily what's going to happen. But your project might be to do a survey of 100 kids in your community and understand what influences their food choices and designing a hypothetical intervention around that. That could be doable in the next 3 weeks. So that's what we're trying to, think about and dissect down. So it's important whenever you set a goal to understand your starting date and your end date. So our starting date is Monday, November 12th. This is the day when you guys are defining out your SMART goals, as well as starting to think about what your final project is going to look like. The end date is the week of final projects. If you look at the syllabus and look at the course calendar, which I'm sure all of you are very familiar with at this point in time, our final project days are December 10th and December 12th. Those are the days you're presenting. Now, if you're designing a project, then I would say, your completion days should be a few days before that. So that way the whole group has time to really work on the presentation, work on the material. And that's why we're giving you time and space in class in order to dissect out, to think about your group projects and to think about really fully how to execute them. So, your project completion date will be something that you as a group identify. I really don't think it should be December 10th. I would say it should be a few days before that in order to give you guys enough time to work on presentations. So the first part of a SMART goal is to create, something that's specific to you or your topic or your overall project. It's hard to define out a project. So that's why we're having you build out the SMART goals first and then figuring out a project from there. Dr. Liu and I sat down and talked about some hypothetical project that none of you guys are doing, so it would be helpful. So our specific interest might be to review children's video gaming habits, right? Because we're concerned that it's creating a sedentary lifestyle and contributing to childhood obesity. So an example of specific would be our project will interview children and or families members about video gaming habits and screen time. It's not bad, right? We could get a little bit more detailed with it. We could say that we're going to create a 5-question open-ended survey that we will administer, right? So like being more specific about like what we're actually going to do, and then we design an intervention based off of that survey. Measurable. How will you know when you've achieved this goal? So Dr. Liu and I set a target for 25 surveys to be completed. This is kind of low for the group project since there are 3 to 5 members on each team. 25 surveys might be a little bit low. You might want to set the bar higher. But this is a bare minimum, right? Like we're just saying that hypothetically we want 25 surveys done. Achievable. So how do we know that like this is able to be done? So again, we're not designing an intervention that's going to cost thousands of dollars that will be executed over years. We are realistically saying that we can get 25 people over the period of our project that we have. Relevant to your project, so why did we choose surveys and not interviews? Why did we choose surveys and not observations? Right, like you have to give some kind of justification. And our justification here might be that we chose to do surveys because, we are really just trying to understand the habits of children in screen time and what's really motivating the sedentary lifestyle in order to design a good intervention. Timely. So again, is it achievable in this time window that we have set forward? And then finally, at the very end, after you've thought through all of these different parts of your project goals, you're going to write out just a really quick description of what your specific project's going to be. So here, Dr. Liu and I might write, survey 25 children and families around video gaming habits in order to understand what drives sedentary lifestyles to enact an obesity intervention. And then Dr. Liu and I would sign the bottom of this and date it to say that we were in class that day. Cool? Okay, moving on. And also, I kind of wanted to go through the websites while we're here, just so that way, if you're having trouble thinking about a problem in your community that's like more geared towards it, these are really good websites to work with. So Robert Wood Johnson Foundation does the Community Health website, which ranks out all of the counties for a given state. So in New Jersey, there's 21 counties, and it ranks like how well they do in terms of health. And Camden actually really doesn't do that well. Camden's about 19 out of 21 counties, which isn't great. And this is really neat of a website because it's more or less real life data. I think it might be like a 2-year lag. We could double check that. But it lets you look at things like birth weight in the community. It lets you look at things like poor mental health days reported. So on average, there's about 3.4 poor mental health dates reported by month. Oh, no, that's New Jersey as a whole. So it would be like 4.2, which is kind of crazy. And then if you want to know like what that actually means, you can say average number of mental unhealthy days reported in the last 30 days. So that'll let you dissect down the questions. There's health behavior stuff around physical inactivity. So Dr. Liu and I might look at the physical inactivity one because we're interested in sedentary lifestyles and screen time to get like a gauge of like what Camden County looks like and why there's a need for an intervention, right? Like what's driving this. There's stuff around socioeconomic status. There's stuff around physical environment. So this is a good one to, if you're having trouble identifying a problem within your topic area and you want some real life data of a community that you're looking for, you can do that. And it's not limited to New Jersey. You could, look at Philadelphia. You could look at Chicago. It doesn't really matter. We would prefer you guys to stick with local communities, though. Okay, then moving on. So if you go to U.S. Census data, again, we can type in Camden City, New Jersey. And again, it'll give you all of the census tract data. Here it'll break it down by business and industry, education, race, poverty, those types of things. And then you can click on it and it'll give you the raw numbers from the 2010 survey. And then the New Jersey Department of Health website is pretty interesting because this is more local to you guys. So if you go into New Jersey health assessment data on the website, you might want to look at some reports that have been issued lately, and there might be some stuff around, child health, like there's asthma management, there's baby-friendly facilities, there's birth weight, cleft lip, death among males, deaths among Hispanic persons. So there's a lot of good New Jersey data here, especially if you're thinking about, doing things like suicidal ideation among youth or trauma or mental health. This might be a good jumping off point for you. And I'll update this with more kind of resources for you guys to drive your projects forward as we get a better idea of what the projects will be. And like Dr. Liu said in class, we will be asking you all to sorry, I lost my train of thought. We'll be asking you all to identify some projects. That's my dog. This isn't going to load. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, there it is. Okay, and then so finally for group work day 2, it's just really dissecting down the goal or the project that you identified in day 1 a little bit more and getting you to think about like more of the actionable steps. So again, we ask you to put down your target date of completion. Again, this is good just to have a reminder of like when everything needs to be done and really in your head, especially as like I'm sure all of you will be having many exams done, and the more you can get, or any exams coming up, the more you can get done earlier, the better you'll feel about it. This will be one less thing on your plate. And then the start date. So it's always, good to look at the vista, where you have come versus where you came from. So the first part, short description about your specific project around your topic. The second part will be just dissecting out specific tasks and the person in charge of those tasks and the expected completion date, right? So if we're asking you to do something like, if your group is going to create a survey, who's creating the survey? Who is the person in charge? And when will they have it done? If there's 2 other group members who are in charge of getting out the survey, who's in charge of getting out the survey, when it will be done? And having all of these things written down will help drive the project forward, and it'll help reduce a lot of the stress that's going forward with it. So it's good to just start thinking through about like the specific aspects of your project. And if this isn't completely defined out by the time you have meetings with Dr. Liu and I, that's totally fine, but it really allows you to think about the steps you're going to take. Right, and it allows everyone to have accountability within your group. So if you're a more creative person and you know that you really enjoy more of the design aspect of group projects, then that's awesome, and that's what you can bring to the table. And perhaps you're in charge of designing and someone else is in charge of presenting. Well, we want to hear everyone's voice. We also understand that some people have different strengths and bring them to the table. And then identifying potential obstacles and potential solutions, right? So if your group project is around surveying cafeterias in schools for kids to identify healthy lunch options, right? One of your potential obstacles might be, getting into a school or allowing a school to help you. Not allowing a school, getting a school to allow you to come in and survey kids or observe kids. And so potential solutions might be asking Dr. Liu to write a letter to the school, to reach out to the school to explain the group project and how this isn't going to be published anywhere, right? So it's starting to think through what could be the hiccups when it comes to your group project. And then also identifying some resources. So what are the resources that you can bring to the table in order to be successful? And then again, signing and dating that you have completed the project. But I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions, you can email Dr. Liu or I. And thank you so much. Have a good one.